You can have mystical experience in all sorts of different circumstances.
To be an empathetic resonance.
And it's a feeling of direct experience of oneness, of being one with reality, one with the universe, or one with nature, depending on your context. You get pictures flashing in front of your visual field, as it were. My name is David Lorimer. I'm the program director of the Scientific and Medical Network. I'm the editor of its journal Paradigm Explorer. I'm chair of the Galileo Commission, and I'm also a poet, writer, and lecturer. I've been studying the NDE since the 1980s, and my interest goes back even further. In fact, I read Raymond Moody's book the year after it came out, so that's 1976. And in fact, I read it in a day in a friend's flat, and I immediately realized that the NDE was a critical thing to understand, and also that it had implications for philosophy, for ethics, for theology, for science, for psychology, really interdisciplinary implications. So the aspect of the NDE which indicates the interconnectedness of consciousness are two. There's one is the mystical experience, and you don't actually have to have an NDE to have a mystical experience. And it's a feeling of direct experience of oneness, of being one with reality, one with the universe, or one with nature, depending on your context. And then the other aspect, which is the ethical aspect, is the life review. And in the life review, the first level is what I call panoramic memory. You get pictures flashing in front of your visual field, as it were, but you're detached from them. There's no emotional involvement. The other level I call the life review proper, where you experience the event that you're reviewing multidimensionally, by which I mean you not only experience it from your point of view, but you also experience it from the point of view of everyone else who was involved in or affected by the event. The golden rule of treating others as you would like them to treat you is really the ethical implication of the oneness of mind and oneness of life. If everybody knew that they were going to go through a life review when they die, then there are certain things that you just wouldn't do. Because if you realized that you were going to feel what it was like to be everybody else involved in the event, then the awful things that are happening in the world, the people who perpetrate them, they would think twice, because they would realize that ultimately they're doing it to themselves. The spiritual teacher who I draw most inspiration from is called Peter Dunov. He's a Bulgarian sage who lived from 1864 to 1944. And he said, when you go into the invisible world, which is his way of saying, when we die, you will be examined on how you applied the law of love. And this is quite an arresting formulation. And I think it also describes what life is really about. That we're here to understand and apply the law of love, but I would add the law of wisdom, the law of truth, the law of justice, and the law of goodness. And these are the 5 principles of his teaching represented in the pentagram, which is also expressed in the sacred dance of panurhythmy. So this is the curriculum, if you like, of life, is to learn how to love. And if we do this well, then of course we will receive back in a positive way, what we have given out. A lot of spiritual traditions say that you should review your day. I don't always do this, but it's a practice that you can go in for. Before you go to bed, you can review your day and then just check in to see whether you could have acted differently in a particular circumstance. Steiner, for instance, he recommends this. But I think, we're ordinary people here. We're leading interesting lives, but life's pretty much the same. And so to act with kindness, generosity, consideration, that's really how we should be engaging and talking to people every day in our relationships. I'd like to become more loving, more wise in my life. And I've met people in their 90s, and one particular example is Boris Nikolov, who was a Bulgarian follower of Peter Dunov, very, very close follower. And I met him when he was 90. And so, but I sat in his presence, and he exuded love. You could feel it. It was palpable. And to me, this is a ripe human being. This is because as fruit become riper, they become sweeter. And so I savoured the sweetness of his presence. If I get into my 90s, I'd like to be like that as well. I'd like people to feel that there was something, they could feel something that was coming from me, that was really me. Because the thing is that when we die, what can you take with you? It's who you are. It's who you are essentially that you take with you. Everything else, all your roles and everything. My son is training as an actor, and I said to him the other evening, we're all playing roles. I'm playing David Lorimer. It's a very interesting role, and I enjoy the role. But at a certain point, the David Lorimer ego and body will disappear. But there's something more, there's something deeper. You could call it the witness even. Some people would call it the witness, but there's something which is quintessentially who I am, but I can't express all of that in the David Lorimer personality. It's a concept I developed in my book Hole in One, which is now called Resonant Mind. Another way of expressing it would be telesomatic phenomena. So soma is the body, telesomatic means at a distance. So it's a bodily sensation at a distance. But it's not the only manifestation of this. So another manifestation would be in psychometry. So you pick an object up, and the object, you tune into the object, and it gives you information about its history or the owner of the ring, for instance. Well, another example would be empathetic diagnosis. So that a practitioner feels in their own body what's going on with their patient, and because the process of empathetic resonance means that you experience what it's like to be the other person. Normally, people would say it's impossible to know what it's like subjectively to be someone else. I mean, that's the normal philosophical position. But the phenomena that I've been describing contradict that. They indicate that we do have a capacity to enter into the experience of others, and which is obviously a feeling. It's a feeling function. Yesterday we did a pilgrimage along the River Dart, a watery pilgrimage with rain and river. And I set my intention for cultivating the capacity to attend, to pay attention. And I think we're in danger of losing our capacity for attention because of the development of technology and the monetization of attention. And to attend to somebody is to be in empathetic resonance with them. And so, as Simone Weil said, she said, the ultimate attention is love. And so listening, attending, being sensitive to others, but maintaining your focus and strength of purpose, I think that's important. Well, meditation. You sit in silence and allow your thoughts to quiet, and that certainly I practice every day. I think it's vital to be able to empty your mind, to focus, and just to enter into the depth. of your own being. That's one thing. I think it's also important to contemplate. So to go and sit by a river, or sit under a tree, or listen to the birds. The very, very simple activities that don't cost any money. But they give you peace of mind. And then peace of mind is irreplaceable, especially in our current turbulent circumstances. But there's always been crises in the world. Maybe there are more now than there used to be, but it's never easy to spend 90 years on planet Earth. It's always challenging.
Great.